what's up. So, many people have been asking about the Tree Talk service that I do, and what does it contain of? What does it do? What's it for? So, like I said before, you present me with a question about anything you want in this world. Of course, it wouldn't be no secret shit unless you wanted to be. But you present me with these questions or question, and I'll take it to one of my trees, and I'll come back with the answer for you. You can see it as divination, clairvoyance, but it's the science of divination and the connection to Mother Nature. You have to have a connection with the mother to do this. I want to get to a point where I teach people how to do this on their own. And that's where I'm trying to get to right now. But I had a question that said how you started doing this. So this is how I started doing this. I had a big tree in my backyard. I didn't know what it was. I still don't know to this day. And I had this notion. I was laying it, and mind you, I'm not a person. I used to smoke a lot of weed. I used to smoke a lot of weeds, and weeds are something because it's connected to a certain entity. That's why they don't let your lawn grow. It's kind of like illegal, you know, and shit like that. Because weeds, hey, the soil might produce something that might help you. So you can't just let that shit grow. But nevertheless, I can't smoke weed at all, especially how I used to. This has to do with being a magician, clairvoyancy. It affects the mind a certain way. So I'd rather it affect my body and let it digest through my body first and have those receptors working for me through my body before my mind gets it. You know, when the smoke inhalation goes straight to the brain, straight to the blood. Whereas if you eat it like an edible, it'll go to your lower self and unveil what's there. It's subconscious, it's under, subway. Sub is under. So I'd rather deal with that. Nonetheless, I'm sitting in the bed after I ate an edible, and I get this notion to go outside and talk to the tree like the tree was calling me. I go to the backyard, I bring out my notepad, and I still got the video to this day. I still got it. I'm sitting out there, and it's like telling me all of the ancient knowledge. It's funny that I'm even talking about this, but it's like ancient knowledge about trees and what they do here and what they were and what they are. So I'm sitting there and I'm writing. It's telling me about, you know, the cycle of life, the cycle, and what they do here for us. And not all are good and not all are bad. I call myself the late bloomer. So the late bloomer watches everything else while it remains, whether in the life cycle or death cycle, and it watches the other trees grow. So it learns from the experiences of other people, and then when it blooms, it holds strong because it can survive more seasons than others. Late bloomer, you can look it up. Wikipedia means Those who learn from other experiences learn later, but when they do learn later, it eventually surpasses the others. So I'm Mr. Late Bloomer. Hey, how y'all doing? Bundy, Mr. Late Bloomer. So I get the notion to go outside. I'm sitting outside. I get this. I'm just getting what you call downloads. A lot of ancient, and I'm writing it down. And as I'm writing these things down, these formulas, these things, the tree is not. Mind you, it's not raining. It's a bright sunny day. The tree starts sapping on me. Sap, like amber. It's like gooey substance. Native Americans used to chew this substance like gum. This is where gum comes from. The glue. Goo. It's goo. It's goo. So it starts sapping on me. I immediately go and close my eyes as I'm, wiping some of the tears off. There's insects and shit flying around, and it shows me its face. And it's funny, like, I don't know if you've ever seen, it looks like an Olmec. I don't know if you know what an Olmec is, but you ever see, remember that old show, Legends of the Hidden Temple, on Nickelodeon? It's like a big face, but it's on a tree. And it was telling me about all these formulas, what it does for us, why they're here. And I'm sitting there as it's continuously sapping on me. I didn't even know that it was called scribe, but I always did this because as a little kid, I was allergic to pollen, tree pollen, grass pollen, and shit like that. And I always asked myself, I remember being in the shower as a kid and asking myself, why is the earth treating me this way? To the point where I couldn't even come outside. I had all this eye crusties and shit in my eye, and I had to get led to the bathroom because it was just stuck. My eyes were stuck closed, and they were so itchy and shit. So I'm like, yo, what the fuck? As a little kid, like, why the fuck am I going through this? And it was due to one of my past cycles. It had to be from the ancestors that came before me, family members that came before me, never had a connection with these things. So I built that connection. And is a form what people call scrying. So, and they told me things like, you should, share this with the world so they can build a connection. Mind you, not all trees are here to help. Some are not to be played with. So at the same time, I want you to comment down below your favorite tree, so we could build a connection with these things. So back to the story. So as that's happening, I started to practice divination and doing, asking my own questions, getting to know this tree. And I noticed that the different trees, as I moved on, I spoke to different trees, and different trees had different aspects of divination. You got to connect with them a certain way, and they all have their own power. Some connect you to constellations, some are just there to talk to you, some you can have, they'll give you some clairvoyancy or whatever you call it. And I asked them, I'm like, I asked him a question about, yo, where were you before? Did you walk? Were you just freely walking around, just, not being stuck in one place? And they brought up petrified wood. My brother-in-law had brought me this rock, and he told me it was petrified wood, because I like rocks and stuff. And I'm looking at this rock, and I'm like, what in the fuck? I should have brought it with me, but I do got my rowan tree with me. It's petrified wood, and petrified wood is when wood, I guess, is buried in soil for so long, it looks like a stone. Doesn't look like a tree, like a piece of a tree. Now then I ask myself, like, petrified is meaning scared. If you petrified, that means you're scared. And when you get petrified, you ball up probably. These are like involuntary gestures, if you're not aware, that you harden up. Petrified, I harden up. So, just to be frank and not go too deep and not go on a tangent, because I'm trying to stay on topic, stay concise, I'll tell you more deeper about why was it petrified in the first place. But petrified wood. And then I made a connection. I'm like, so petrified wood, some of y'all were some of y'all mountains? It was like, yes, some of us was mountains, some of us landed here, some of us landed here like from somewhere else. And yeah, that's my connection and why I'm doing this service. It's funny because I have made, it's still probably on my Instagram, it's a video that I made before. I'm not just tooting my horn, but I made before people started coming on, I believe TikTok or something, YouTube, like trees are moving. But what I'm saying is that I've had a connection, and this came from a connection with like terrible, what you could say is terrible experiences with, the worst allergies in the world. And me overcoming that was due to my connection. I had to build a relationship with these things that are not things. And then, it got deeper to who dwells within this tree, the beings that dwell within them, the leprechauns, all that, elves. And yeah, so that's why I'm doing this service, because it's also connected to, they have like Polaroid cameras. It's funny that I'm saying Polaroid because this is a pole. This is a north and south pole being. It's erect, like phallus, like a phallus. So it holds a lot of substance in it. And these things actually take pictures of you and send them up to the Akashic records. And like I said, I don't want to go too deep. I want to stay concise so you guys understand why I'm doing this, but I'll get a little deeper later. But yeah, I'll probably put a little clip in how petrified wood looks like. Looks like a piece of a mountain. Can't tell the difference. So yeah, man. Yeah, that's about it. So I already know. Fuck with me.